A skinny, beaten-up dog with a big belly and an extinct look came to the territory of the meat processing plant. She huddled under the tall old pallets, hiding her feeble body, inside which tiny, invisible to human eyes lives glowed. The huge hungry eyes of the desperate tramp were the only sign that she was still alive. At night, the dog would come out of its hiding place and prowl the area. In each shift, there were kind people feeding the poor guy. They named the dog Nida. At the same time, Nida also had a serious opponent, the watchman Pladnik, not yet an old, eternally grinning, lame peasant with a bastard character. He walked winter and summer in an old sheepskin coat, worn to a shine, with a strong wooden stick with an iron tip, constantly looking for something, sniffing and smiling slyly, not taking into account the fact that the dog, having got used to it and cheered up a little, began to guard at night. Pladnik immediately disliked her, like all other dogs and cats, feeling only irritation, disgust and anger towards them. Nada, like all wise adult dogs, felt this and tried to stay away from him. During his night shifts, Pladnik stole without a twinge of conscience. Entering the workshops, he quickly picked up meat, sausages, products that were scarce at that time, and took them away. There were no bosses at night, except for the shift supervisor, who mostly sat and dozed in the forwarding room, and the workers would not give out, so the watchman was not shy, stuffing a large shopping bag. Of course, they can't eat that much together with his wife. But he has his regular customers who will buy quickly, and they don't need to offer, they beg for it themselves. The shops are empty, they take everything to Moscow, only liver sausage, and leave it to the city. Looking at the actions of the impudent watchman, sneaking around the workshops and carrying many times more of them, the workers were silent. They were afraid of the cunning, quirky Pladnik, because they had to go home through the checkpoint, and there he was. Just say the word to this rascal, then you won't bring anything home to the children at all. Everyone wants to eat. It turned out to be a complete mutual responsibility. It took a little over a week, and Nada got pregnant. In the shelter of a newly made mom, 6 of her tiny children lay on an old tattered jacket laid by a kind-hearted woman. Ada is a smart dog, and therefore, when the puppies opened their eyes, they had future owners. They agreed among themselves who would get which puppy, and waited for their future pets to grow up. The master wanted to pick up the largest and strongest puppy from the second workshop. He liked him because when people came up, all the kids clung to their mother, and this toddler, deciding to protect his family, boldly stood in front, growling clumsily and yapping in a thin puppy voice, for which he immediately received the nickname Brave. And so the 5 puppies were taken away by the owners, and for the Brave, the master, who went on vacation, was supposed to come in a couple of days. At night, Pladnik, who was on duty, walked through the workshops as usual and, coming out with a heavy bag, stumbled and fell, only the stick rattled. In the courtyard, a young loader Val was smoking silently. He saw how the alarmed Nada and the Brave ran up to the watchman and barked loudly. Pladnik, getting up, rubbing his bruised knee, grabbed his stick and with terrible curses hit the puppy on the head, and then hit and found. The brave little one screamed and fell down. Val ran up and took the baby in his arms with trembling hands, pushing aside the crying mother. The brave man lost his right eye, he was shaking all over his body and crying desperately, like a child. Pladnik, what have you done? That's all the guy could say. What's your business? What, can't you see, they attacked me. Too sorry for me, but there are packs of such strays under every fence. You go, work, come on, there's nothing to light up here, stick your nose everywhere. Yes, keep quiet, or else, but he didn't have time to finish. Valerie couldn't resist and punched the watchman in the ear. Oh, is that so? Well, look. Pladnik threatened, moving away to a safe distance, and disappeared into the entrance hall. The master who came for the brave one, seeing a one-eyed puppy swaying on its paws with its head on one side, was upset almost to tears. He did not take him home so as not to scare the children, and it is unknown whether he will survive. before Pladnika's next shift, Nada and Bold disappeared. 2 years have passed. It gets light early in summer, and Pladnik, locking the entrance, went with 2 bags tied by the handles and hung on his shoulder to the alley where his wife usually waited for him to give her the bags and quickly return back. That he did not have time to reach the corner of the high concrete fence of the Enterprise, as a dog emerged from there and stood in his way. 2 large, hate-filled dog eyes stared at him. Everything went cold inside Pladnik. Nada. He forgot to think about her, but she came. Follow him. For the first time in his life, he prayed furiously and plaintively to himself, well, get out, you beast. Get lost. He waved his stick and hit the dog on the paw. Nada howled. Dogs began to run out from around the corner, more and more. The last thing Pladnik remembered was the big, grinning, one-eyed muzzle of a dog flying straight at him. The brave one took revenge for himself, for his mother, for evil and cruelty, for all the stray crippled dogs. The workers who came out to smoke heard the screams of the janitor, but the entrance doors were locked. While they climbed over the high gate made of thick metal rods sharp at the top, Pladnik was pretty torn. An old thick sheepskin coat saved his life. Next to it lay the half-empty bags of the thieving watchman with the products of the meat processing plant, torn by dogs. The bags were hidden by order of the shift supervisor, but the director was informed. Then there is an ambulance, the police and a lot of talk. Pladnik was in and out of hospitals for almost 6 months. He was fired from his job. Angry at the whole world, he told at every step how he had been offended, and now he, a disabled man who had committed a heroic act at a combat post, was forced to suffer. But in his heart, he knew what a jerk he was, and the true reason for what had happened. Until the end of his days, the hero, even sitting at home, was afraid of another meeting with Nada, and the brave Nada, with Bold and 3 grown-up puppies, lived for many years in a bathhouse with a lonely elderly widow, whose house stood apart on the outskirts of the city, and served her faithfully. They lived without sausage, but with porridge seasoned with a kind word.